So it's not very often that brands and builders, so you guys in the room, have the opportunity to regroup and celebrate the emergence of a new European regulation. And that's what we're going to do today. Surprisingly, we're going to talk about a European regulation that's going to provide brands with an opportunity to improve their business and even more, to increase customer satisfaction. So probably you're not expecting that. And that's because it's very unusual and probably unique moment in time that Pierre-Nicolas from Arianee and myself from BCG decided to team up to explore that opportunity and help you navigate through it and make the most out of it.
Good afternoon, everyone. We had this morning the French Minister of Numérique who said that we had in France the best regulator. So we didn't know we might have the best regulator in Europe as well. And that's what we're going to discuss today, how this new règlement can be turned into a fantastic business opportunity thanks to Web3 technologies.
Cool. So what are we talking about? We're talking about a project initiated by the European Commission that aims at entering into force in 2024, starting with car batteries, which is probably a passion of a limited group of people in this room, but that expanding quickly to electronic products and to fashion. This passport is going to hold many very key information about products. It's going to be able to tell you what are the raw materials used, how they've been transformed, where the product has been assembled, what CO2 emissions were produced during the manufacturing, provide with the user guide, tell you what components are recyclable under what conditions. All of those information, once regrouped together, become something very useful, very rich for at least three purposes. The first one, I would say, is for consumers, because we know consumers have been willing for a while to be able to make more conscious decisions, more sustainable choices in their consumption. And that has been difficult because accessing the right information is a challenge in itself. So now the information will be available by design into that passport. Second, it allows a full value chain of recyclability to enter into force, because the information will be made available about what in a given product can be recycled or not, and under what conditions. And third, it will allow the public authorities, the regulators, to make sure that the regulation that they want to put in place are actually enforced in a transparent way. So I started by saying this is an amazing business opportunity. For now, probably you don't see it yet, but bear with me. We said a passport, and we said a digital passport. So let's go to the digital part of the discussion. Digital means three technological choices have to be made in implementing the digital product passport. The first one, pretty obvious, or obvious that it's important, is how will we pair the physical product with its digital passport. Very long discussion that we're not going to go into details today, but many technology exists, still a lot of challenges that needs to be solved. Third one, at the bottom, and I'll go to the second at the end, is about the standards that needs to be put in place so the information becomes consistent from one product to the other, one brand to the other, because most of the technological choices will be made brand by brand, because they will not be most likely forced by the regulation. So there's a need for some consistency, enough consistency across the information so that things can be made comparable. And the second element, which is the one that we've been talking a lot and working on a lot together with the Arianee team, is where do we store that information and how do we make it accessible? Because basically, storing it, enriching it, and making it accessible is what creates the magic, is what allows this digital product passport to be more than a boring passport where you would store upstream information. It allows many more use cases to be invented. And I use the word invented by choice, because I believe that not only this can be made, but probably a lot more will be invented if this is made available in the right way. So the basics is what the European Commission is proposing in the regulation project is upstream product information. I already gave you the list. But once you have that in place, under certain infrastructure conditions and technological choice conditions that I will let Pierre-Nicolas describe, you can make this a proof of ownership. So, in this room, I don't have to explain what kind of technological choices you will have to make it a proof of ownership. But if you do that, you unlock a lot of new possible businesses, especially the second-hand business for all the products that are relevant. You make it also an option to a tool to improve the product lifecycle management. Even more importantly, you create a connection between the brand who issued the passport and the consumers who are going to hold the product, and that becomes a CRM tool. And finally, we all know in this room that most of the Gen Z are more and more interested into virtual worlds, social gamings, etc. And then by having a digital twin of the product, you can also make sure that people will be able to enjoy their product in real life, but also into virtual experiences. All of that, as I said, can be only unlocked if the technical infrastructure that's behind allows it and makes it possible.
So, Web3 is about truly owning digital assets. Where do we do that? We do that in a wallet that I often like to compare to a digital backpack where I put whatever I want, okay? So here we see the three different kind of infrastructures that could be implemented. Some of them could be complementary, actually. So the first one is the centralized digital product passport. You build a database within the brand, and you store product information, and then you make it accessible. So obviously, the product information is available. The proof of authenticity becomes complicated, even though you could associate one QR code with a piece of information in the database with a client account. But then the management of the life cycle of the product, the change of ownership, or the interaction with third parties that could act within the life of the product and the user cannot be recorded. Obviously, the CRM remains Web 2 because you have to collect personal data and store them, and the same way we've been doing that with email and personal informations. And lastly, obviously, you can't put the virtual object within a token that you will be able to use in the sandbox or somewhere else. So, centralized, good for product information. And when I say that it's complementary, maybe we will need some part of that, because if at some point customers want to compare things, and the regulator might also force brands to have a place on their website where people can just check all the different products, even when they don't own them. So we might need a piece of centralization just to regroup the product, but that could be, for example, the extension of the PIM or an extension of the cloud-based commerce tool, okay? Then we could have permissioned blockchain-based environment, aka private blockchains, where you could have also the product information. You're going to be able to connect a token within a private blockchain with a client account, which could end up giving you a proof of authenticity. But again, the fact that in a private blockchain, the same wallet holds the entire of the smart contracts, and all of that is only linked to client accounts, would make it very difficult to have a fully operable product lifecycle management as well as a CRM tool. And by CRM tool, what we're trying to say here is that tomorrow, our wallets will be our identities. There will be the safe where we put our content, the proofs we keep, diplomas and driving licenses and products we own. And the capability that we will have tomorrow to interact directly with a wallet without collecting information is what's going to create the new iteration, the new evolution of CRM. That's what we are trying to say here. When you tokenize the digital product passport, so what does that mean? For each product, you're going to create a passport based on the ERC 721 technology, so on standard, so an NFT, a form of NFT, but I don't want to say NFT in a way that we could wonder, oh, but can I trade the NFT by itself and not the product, and is the NFT worth something? No, it's worth nothing. We just use the capabilities of scarcity and true ownership to connect this to a product. It's uniquely linked to the pairing technology that has been implemented, which can be a unique QR code, but ideally an NFC chip, and anytime soon for many products, literally a fingerprint, visual fingerprint of a part of the product. You know, leather, paper, and metal are all different. Any piece can be basically analyzed and recorded and attached to the metadata of a token. Okay, so when you start creating tokens for each and every product and attach the product information, you transfer this token to the owner, who is now truly the owner of the product and its digital product passport, so the proof of ownership is possible. Think about, you know, when you leave a store with the good. You know, it is not staying in the database of the brand. Like, you actually leave the store. So it's exactly the same with this digital passport. It's not staying in the database like in the first proposition. It is actually living with you in your wallet. Okay, so that's the proof of ownership. You're going to be able to follow the product life cycle with on-chain timestamp events that are going to be recorded if I repair something, or could even be CRM and loyalty activities. CRM tool, because you'll be able to be contacted as you like, the way you decide within your wallet. And then finally, the possibility to add inside the metadata of this digital passport, the file that would allow you to use this garment or this product in a virtual world. What's also important is that when you're in the centralized place, basically every time you want to connect with your product, you have to go back and scan it. When you're in the permission place, you're going to have an account with each brand with which you have a digital passport. So if you want to have access to your entire collection of the things you own, you got to connect everywhere. The third place, the third part, you literally have a virtual dressing or a virtual vanity set where you store all the things that you own. And if you think about the fact that 80% of the things we own, we just don't wear them, like it's like real statistics, you know, people just wear 20% of what they buy. You can only imagine if you had access to all of that within a place that you control, kind of virtual dressing, you know, that could actually have a UX and a UI that could be very cool. And so you have access to that at the same place, and you can decide to put one on sale. Maybe at one point you might receive an offer, you know, for one thing that you have and you forgot about, like that happens every day with an NFT that we have and we forgot about, and we receive an offer and like, oh, floor is up, that's cool. So that might happen with garments, okay? So that's why tokenization natively unlocks these opportunities. So now, obviously, we're not going to do that for everything, okay? The more we are looking at hard luxury, expensive goods, sustainable goods, the more we're going to have the highest fit for tokenized DPP, because we need a life cycle of the product that is long, we need a perceived value that is high. You know, obviously, watches are very strong. I'll talk about it later, but we work with many, many watch brands. Bags will follow, high quality, meubles and furnitures. And then we'll have, most likely, appliances. And we didn't put it here, but probably also cars themselves. So an example here with Breitling that has rolled out digital product passports at scale with all their collections. So you get a unique QR code when you exit the store, scan the QR code, and you get the ownership of the digital passport that is actually an ERC 721 minted with the Arianee protocol. You store that within a wallet where you have your public key, you own your private key, it's non-custodial. And then you have this tokenized passport that is airdropped to you, literally through this slide. And you're going to be able to connect that to your client account. So with Wallet Connect, you're going to connect to your account if you want. You're going to give personal information, and then you're going to start having more value. So for example, with Breitling, if you connect your wallet to your client account, you can have a live estimate of the value of your watch. You can also access the trade-in program, and you can access the Breitling Club. Okay? The content, the NFT itself and the passport has a very deep content schema. So you're able to add a lot of information, including upstream information on how the product has been made. So here, Breitling partnered with a third party, which is called SourceMap, and this third party actually verified their supply chain and produced this content and delivered it to the customers within the tokenized digital passport. Okay, that's another and last example here of a product that we've made, and you can come and see it on the Arianee booth. So we created a limited edition of hoodies. They all have an NFC chip. So when you scan the NFC chip, you access the digital passport, which is obviously serialized, same journey. And then from there, you have access to the virtual version of it, so you can play with it in augmented reality. You have access to the virtual version of it in Decentraland, so if you connect your wallet on Decentraland, you can wear it. We partnered with a traceability blockchain from IBM and inputted all the information from the way it's been made up to the date in which a workshop in Aubervilliers it was designed. And all of that within the palm of your hand, within a wallet that you control with zero-party data. So this, we have a couple of them on the Arianee booth if you want to do the experience and check that. So that's these kind of use cases that are leveraging true ownership, zero-party data, native interoperability that can turn this regulation constraint into a huge business opportunity. If you think about the second-hand market, why today, if you're a brand, 100% of your revenue next year is going to be by selling first-hand products, producing and selling. If tomorrow all the products are on-chain and people can receive offers, and when you search for a jacket, you can see the entire inventory of new and old things, and you can bid on a new thing, on an old thing, and all of a sudden, thanks to that, you can add royalties, and you can finally have a real line of revenue for brands. There's going to be a real economy for circularity around that, thanks to putting all this product on chain. So this is a great example of how Web3 technologies can integrate the real life and solve circularity and compliance issues.
So Pierre-Nicolas showed us a glimpse of how cool and powerful this can be from a business and customer relationship standpoint. And maybe as a word of conclusion, I think it's important to make sure we all understand that it's up to us, and by us I don't mean us on stage, I mean us in the room, to shape this opportunity to make it real. And so maybe as a word of conclusion, I would encourage everyone who works in a brand or everyone who works with brands to engage as soon as possible into a discussion of how are we going to shape this opportunity, what choices are we going to make, and are we going to go on a scenario where we just want to comply with regulation, or for a slightly increased effort, try to make it a super cool and super powerful business opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.